Hello everyone and welcome back to the Spanish Sling, a podcast where we try to bridge the gap between the Spanish and Singaporean companies and encourage economic relations between them. Today we wanted to explore the thrilling and ever-changing world of journalism, and that's why today we welcome Paloma Almoguera.
Hi, nice to be here with you.
Correspondent of news agency EFE, and you have been working in Spain, but you have also been living for 10 years in China and in Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So now the tables have been turned and you're the one who's been interviewed. So you just relax and enjoy. During the first part of this interview, Paloma, we wanted to focus on working as a journalist in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you say has been the most enriching part of being a journalist working for Spain in Asia?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for inviting me. And well, I could say that as a correspondent, wherever it is, I've been correspondent in other places before Asia, but in Asia where we are now, I was in China before, now covering Southeast Asia. The most interesting part, enriching part, is arriving to a place, getting to know the place. That involves a lot of reading, meeting people from every sector as a journalist, as a correspondent. It's one of the things that I like the most. Like you can be, meeting someone from the government and then someone from an NGO and then someone from a different sector. So that means that you try to get to know the place before you are capable of telling a story about the place. So I've always enjoyed very much that initial part of landing and then like anybody who comes to a place and then having to learn a lot about it to be able to maybe tell the story and get the Spanish audience to get to know a bit more about this place in particular.
Yeah, so that's the good part. So now, what has been the biggest challenge? So the other way around.
The other side of the coin.
Yes, exactly.
Well, because of where we are, as I said, I was in China for 5 years as a correspondent, and now here in Singapore. It's not a secret that these are not places with a lot of media freedom or freedom of expression. So, of course, as a journalist, that's something that has a direct impact in my work. So, in the case of China, it's a bit more brutal. I mean, it can mean a risk. It can maybe get you arrested. It can get your visa rebuked if the Chinese government doesn't like what you've been publishing, as it's happened to many journalists. But it's also a risk to the people that you speak with. So in China, for example, you always have to be careful because you are interviewing local sources, and if they say something that the government doesn't like, that might mean like a real risk for them. They can be arrested. So it's always like a sensitive game because you want to have access to information, but at the same time you have to be careful. You have to protect who you speak to. But that makes it difficult to get deeper into the subjects. So I would say that's a big challenge in Singapore. Maybe it's having access to more debate, independent sources, because they are not as much as maybe in other places.
Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, you have to take care of yourself, but also to the people you're responsible for in a way.
Yeah.
And you have talked about kind of these differences. Are there any other differences in the way you approach working as a journalist in Spain or Europe versus the Southeast Asia and China, for example?
I think this part then translates into many things. I mean, it's like how you have access to information that at the end of the day changes how you approach your daily work. So maybe in Europe, I was working in Geneva for a while inside the UN system, so you have press conferences all the time. It's like the information is given to you in your hands, which can also be not that great because then you spend less time investigating. But maybe in places with less access to that information, you have to spend more time trying to find people, to find documents, to find, so it takes a bit longer to have, to create a product, if we speak in commercial terms. I would say that's it, yeah.
Yes, and I think all the newly qualified Spanish journalists have to be aware of those things. Do you have any other advice for those people who want to pursue an international career as you have done?
I would say if they want to pursue an international career, to keep an open mind, because I remember when I was starting, And perhaps it never crossed my mind to go to China. I had Middle Eastern in mind or Africa. And then I was assigned to this China position, and I've been 10 years in Asia. And I love Asia and I'm learning so much. So it's like, no matter where you go, it will always be interesting. There are so many things to learn. So just keep an open mind and trying to find internships, anything that make you land your feet in, in a place.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Paloma, for all the advice and for explaining your amazing work in Asia and in Europe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Pleasure.